When investigations into mysterious disappearances unearth security footage of the missing person's last known whereabouts, there's usually a sense of hope that it will lead to their discovery. But this isn't always the case, as many unsolved disappearances include leads where the missing person is caught on camera, but they've not been found and remain missing to this day. Number 5. 32-year-old Chad Gibson mysteriously disappeared on the 19th of December, 2015 from Cornwall in England. On that night, he had been in the Central pub with one of his friends, but decided to leave after he had an altercation with a group of men over a woman who he had just recently met. After he was reported missing, investigators managed to find CCTV footage of Chad, where he was looking at his reflection in the window of a shop located near the pub. He's then seen crossing the street with an unknown man, after which he seemingly vanished as he had not been seen or heard from since. His mother, Sharon, appeared on the Missing podcast, where she launched an emotional appeal for anyone with information to come forward to aid in the investigation. She stated that Chad had been looking forward to the new year, and he was on the verge of getting a new flat in New Quay, which he was excited about. The night before his disappearance, he told Sharon that he had met a woman the night before and he really liked her. The following morning, he had planned to head to the town of St. Estelle. He brushed his teeth, got changed, said goodbye to Sharon, and headed out. When he didn't come home that night, she wasn't concerned as she assumed he was out having a good time and assumed he'd be back the following day. When he didn't return by Christmas Day, however, she reported him missing, but states that police didn't treat his disappearance as a priority. The following year, Sharon was distraught when she was informed by police that they had found Chad's remains on farmland in the area. She started to make arrangements for his funeral, only to be told weeks later that they'd made a mistake and that the DNA tests showed that it was not Chad that they had found after all. Anyone with information on Chad's case is asked to email 101@devonandcornwall.pnn.police.uk, quoting the inquiry number EN 38016. Number 4. Brittany Drexel, who disappeared on the 25th of April 2009, aspired to become a nurse, cosmetologist, or model. She was known to suffer from depression, and when her mother, Dawn, separated from her husband, Chad, in 2008, her condition worsened. In April of 2009, Brittany asked her mother if she could join her boyfriend and a few of her friends on a trip to Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, where they would be celebrating spring break. But Dawn refused, saying that she had a premonition that something bad would happen if she went. This caused them to have a series of arguments, and on the 22nd, Brittany asked if she could go to a friend's house so that she could calm down. Dawn agreed, but unbeknownst to her, Brittany left for South Carolina with her friends instead. 3 days later, she contacted her mother and told her that she had been at the beach. Dawn assumed that she was referring to the beach located at the Lake Ontario shoreline and thought no more of it. That same night, Brittany was at the Bar Harbor Hotel beachfront with her friends, and she left at around 8 p.m. to walk to Blue Water Resort, where she planned to visit another friend. Here, she's seen arriving on CCTV video wearing a tank top, flip-flops, and shorts, and was carrying a beige purse. She's then seen leaving at 8:45. During this time, she had been texting with her boyfriend, John Greico, who had stayed behind Rochester since he had to work. But at 9:15 p.m., her text suddenly stopped, and John grew concerned. He started phoning her friends to ask if they knew where she was, but they had no information. He then phoned Dawn and informed her that Brittany was in Myrtle Beach and that she had gone missing. Police in Myrtle Beach started to search for her the following day and learned that the last person to see her was a man called Peter Brazowitz. He was a nightclub promoter who was also vacationing in the area, but he was ruled out as a suspect. In her hotel room, they found that all of her clothes were still present, but her phone and purse were missing. When her phone was pinged, it was tracked to a path 60 miles south of Myrtle Beach along US Route 17, near the county line between Georgetown and Charleston. The area was searched for 11 days without success, and the case went cold. But in 2019, the FBI revealed that they had information that Brittany had been abducted after visiting a stash house in McClellanville. They were told that her life had been ended and she was thrown into a gator pit. Brittany's whereabouts remain unknown. However, anyone with information can contact their nearest FBI field office. Number 3. On the 16th of November, 2015, 28-year-old Peggy McGuire dropped her son Ethan off at his school, after which she called her stepfather to let him know that she was headed back to her house in Eufaula, Oklahoma, where she lived with her son's father, Thomas McIntosh. She then mysteriously disappeared. Her family and friends would later tell police that it was out of character for her to not come home, as her son was her life and she would never abandon him. 3 days after she was reported missing, her Toyota truck was found in front of T&J's Ice House, a popular restaurant in Eufaula, but there was no sign of Peggy. When investigators checked CCTV video footage of the parking lot, they realized that her truck had been driven and parked there by an unidentified man who can be seen leaving the area after abandoning the vehicle. The following year, the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation was brought in on the case, and they found biological material belonging to Peggy on a couch on her back porch. Samples were also collected of stains found in a bucket of a tractor, and red stains found on a leather glove that was found in McIntosh's car. When McIntosh was interviewed, he stated that he believed Peggy was still alive and that she had merely abandoned her son. He was never considered a suspect, and no one has ever been linked to Peggy's disappearance. She is described as 5'10", between 150 to 160 pounds, with strawberry blonde hair and blue eyes. She has a scar on her right knee and tattoos on her lower back. These are a 4-leaf clover, a horseshoe with stars, and the initials J and S. Peggy's family has offered a $50,000 reward for any information leading to her discovery. Number 2. Kiara Stubbs, a 23-year-old mother of 2, mysteriously disappeared on the 24th of April, 2014. On that day, she had been traveling with her younger brother after they had dropped off her younger sister and other brother at school. They then headed to 5 Points West, where she was to meet a man at Boost Mobile. The man, who she knew, as he had asked her to help with his children's hair, was described by Kiara as a nice person. That afternoon, her son and brother waited for her to come home, but she never did, and she was reported as a missing person. Calls to her phone went unanswered, and they knew that something was wrong. When CCTV video footage was checked, police found that Kiara did meet up with the man, and they were seen having a brief conversation before both getting into his burgundy Chrysler 200. But what happened after that remains a mystery, as Kiara was never seen again, and no witnesses have come forward to say what happened in the car or where they drove off to. Birmingham police have stated that the man, who they have not named, is a person of interest, but that his name is not being released because he was the only person in the car with her. They have since asked members of the public who may have any information to come forward, as they have no further leads in the case. Kiara is described as 5 foot 3 inches tall, weighing 165 pounds, and she has brown hair, brown eyes, and was last seen wearing gray leggings with a gray sweatshirt or coat. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Birmingham Police Detective Jonathan Ross at 205-254-1764 or at 205-504-0008. Number 1. On the night of the 27th of January, 2017, 21-year-old Elaine Park went out with her boyfriend, Divine Compare, in Calabasas, California. They saw a movie, after which they returned to Divine's house at around 1 a.m. The couple had a strained relationship, often breaking up for short periods of time before getting back together again. Divine would later state that at around 4 a.m., Elaine woke up showing signs of a panic attack. She was shaking and had trouble breathing and told him that she wanted to leave. He tried to persuade her to stay, but she refused and headed out on her own. 2 hours later, she's seen on CCTV video from a nearby camera walking to her car. She seems to be acting normally and was no longer showing signs of being in a panicked state. But that's the last known sighting of Elaine. When her family didn't hear from her, they attempted to file a missing person report, but were turned away. Police informed them that since Elaine was an adult, she had every right to disappear if she wanted to. They were told to return to the police station after 48 hours had passed. They had no choice but to wait, and after doing so, they were finally able to file a report. Nearly a week later, Elaine's gray Honda Civic was found abandoned on the Pacific Coast Highway. The doors were left unlocked and the keys were still in the ignition. The battery had been drained as the car's lights had been left on, and all of her belongings were still inside the vehicle. This included her laptop, cash, and a driver's license. The only thing that was confirmed by her family to be missing was her favorite necklace. They described it as gold with a small E charm studded with rhinestones. Initially, search and rescue personnel and deputies only searched the area where the car was found, neglecting to search the area where she was last seen. After pressure from the public, they eventually decided to search that area, but it was already several months after she had disappeared, and any possible evidence that may have been present in the area would have been lost. Since her disappearance, her family has pulled out all the stops, going as far as gathering $140,000 in donations, which is being offered as a reward for any information leading to her whereabouts. Theories on the case vary from Elaine being abducted and trafficked, that she may have been a victim of a crime of opportunity, or that she disappeared of her own accord due to her troubles with anxiety on that day. The theory that she was a victim of robbery seems very unlikely, as her valuables were left in her car. Elaine's family continue to search for her, and if you have any information, you're asked to contact 0800-551-3080 and press 2 if you want to remain anonymous. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.